Well, bloody hell, the car's got 2 rear quarters on it again. A monster weldathon today. Salvage, if you can, salvage the spare wheel support from the original panel. It is curved. You can see the panel curves. It curves in at the top, back out. You'll also need to salvage the panel, the fixing plate for the rear seat support. And I've not made up the box yet to go down here. Pretty much everything else, though, is welded, seam welded, apart from the plugs down there. But there'll be a seam that goes over the top of that later on. All the way around the outside, and a few plugs down here. And I will replace this piece down here, which is missing once the goalpost comes off, which is the next thing I'm going to do. Now, I'm not too worried about any of this section at the top here. I think that's all going to be relatively strong. I've had enough of welding today, so I'm going to get the goalpost off. Now, these things are actually fairly straightforward to get off. Normally, they would come off with the rear cross member. I'm probably going to leave the rear cross member in place because at the moment, it's the reference point here for the floors supporting and the alignment, the overall alignment. So I'll chop the bottom end off here because it's shite anyway. Chop that off. It's probably going to be full of filler. And then undo these bolts down here. And then lastly, you'll find inside each one of these holes up here, there'll be a screw. Go straight up and into the roof. Get those out. As you can see, I've taken all of the mechanism out for the wiper motor, so that's all gone. Yeah, and then we can get this thing out. Now, when it comes out, if you've still got the cross member attached, you're going to need to get the rubbers off the cross member to drop the cross member just enough such that you can free the top edge from underneath the roof. Now, when you've got these things, the actual inside edge of it goes more or less up to this crease here. So if I was to keep the cross member intact when I was taking the goalpost off, I'd actually have to remove the roof. You don't have to remove the roof entirely, you just undo all the fixings down both sides across the windscreen header rail, push it up, hold it up in place, and then take the goalpost off. I'm not doing that in this case because I don't need to. Because, like I say, I'm going to leave the cross member in place. There we go. So, cut this lot off. That's a bit shitty, isn't it, Richard? Might end up cutting this piece out again and doing that. That was the bit I had to repair. Not quite sure why that looked so shitty. Oh, it's because I was chasing holes. Again, those bits will get fixed. Yeah. Right, I'm going to crack on with that. I don't need to video it. I'm not going to video it. Because I want the radio on. And then when this is off, then we can start messing around with what it is we're going to do. Whether it is we're going to utilise the services of the red goalpost over there or not. Right, so this side was already cut. Undone bolts. Undone the line of screws along the top here. Each one of these holes here will have a screw in it. Undone the bolts up there. Cut through a welder filler down here. And I don't know if you can see. Now, when I pull the goalpost forwards, the whole thing is coming forwards and out. And it's as easy as that. One goalpost out. Now, there's a couple of observations really I've got on this. The first thing is the sheer amount of flexibility on this side, which I'm going to show you in a second. More fun though is the reason why I was kind of doing this in the first place. So I can clean up these edges now, top to bottom, finish this edge down here to make it good right the way down to the base, and exactly the same here. A little filler, no drain hole, and it is just full of rust. Absolutely fucking full of it. Bag of shite. So leaving the cross member in place might seem like a somewhat bizarre way of doing it. However, it does then allow me to leave the roof in place while I do this job. Okay, that's really the main thing there. Now, this lip here is one single piece that should run from there right way up to the top. So this is actually, although I've not got the step in here yet, that will actually be holding everything into shape. I'm quite happy with that so far. That's all working quite nicely, in fact. So this edge, just clean this up. This is just done. I'll use a more modern body sealant when this all goes back together again. But yeah, this is all factory stuff here. Lots of it, all gone brittle. Clean up the inside of the roof, which is all Burma bright. And there you can see the fixings as they run across the inside of the roof. There you go, one goalpost off. Now, this, by the way, this is all factory shite up here. This is how they put it on. So I doubt this has ever been apart. And here we've got signs of corrosion, but nothing particularly serious. The problem I've got is, look at that, already bent there, just by taking it off. There's no strength in this thing whatsoever. And you can see on this side that it's all just completely separated down. I might be able to repair it, but I honestly think that the red one is better. Fuck's sake. I just don't know, mate. I just really don't know. Right, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take that piece off there, which probably is not going to put up too much of a fight, I'm going to guess, because I'm probably guessing that it's sort of going to fall off. There we are. Yeah, we don't worry about that bit there. Oh, that bit might have been welded on there. Oh, I take it back. Just this bit wasn't. That bit just sort of fell off, as you can see. I want to keep... Yeah, drain holes, folks. I want to keep some form to this because I know roughly what sort of shape it's in. Now, when I chopped this off, I chopped it off level with the rear cross member, and I know the tailgate's fitted before, so they should fit again. I will need to double check and triple check and quadruple check the measurements. This thing's had a fair thump on this side, hasn't it? Ah, that dent shouldn't be there. Look at that, it's a proper big crease there. So a right thump up the arse. I honestly think that that is the least of its problems. Yes, right, onwards and upwards. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Welder. You did manage to get one weld to actually make some contact. That was it. And that was along that outer edge there. Once I cut through that, though, chonk, straight off. Right, and then this piece here, as you can see. Oh, no, you might have found another bit of weld here. No. I'm just tearing it off. Look. Okie dokie, right, this surface now I can just clean up with the flap disc, and that'll be good. I'm hoping it's going to come back like that, so therefore I can then reuse this cross member in its entirety. But you can see, yeah. Filler's actually oozing through the holes there. It's a thing of beauty. As has been said before, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Alas, not this. Fucking piece of shit. Not been a huge amount of videoing on Lincoln Green over the last couple of days. My dad's car's been back up for me to sort a few odds and sods out, but you can see there's been a lot of welding, a lot of trial fitting. Glass is roughly back in place. I'm going to start sorting out the holes with the stainless steel channel. The heel board, is all in place, and the seat mount box I made up, both sides, they're in place. Started welding the back end of the sill. And had no power this morning, so I thought, well, do you know what, I'm going to do some other shit. So that's pretty much where we are there. Now, tale of two goalposts. We'll come out into the light. Goalpost as removed from the vehicle. And you remember, it was fairly compromised. Or so I thought. And then I look at the goalpost that I'm proposing. Oh, for fuck's sake. Right. So all I'm really doing here is I am cleaning back all of the key areas where I need to. Thank you, Ghost Train, for being my workbench. If I position that up there, it's probably a bit better up there like that. You can see here that this rail, which I thought was actually quite sound, actually isn't. But the outer section, where it's rotten on that one, it isn't rotten on this one, and vice versa. So I'm going to end up Frankensteining two goalposts, I think, into one here. Really, there's a few bits that I wanted to try and retain. This lip is one of them. It's just spot welded on underneath the edge here. So I'm going to get that off, because I want that intact. I think that both of the uprights are going to end up being better than certainly that upright, probably that upright. So I think the uprights I'm going to end up using, and I think the cross member at the top there is going to end up being just a little bit of each of them. Now, what's nice about this goalpost is that I don't think it's ever had a replacement cross member put on it. So what I'm really going to do here, because I think that that is the original bottom of the goalpost. So I've actually got, although this side is battered to fuck, this side is in better shape. And what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to chop it about there, right the way through. Gone. Because all of these then would line up beautifully with what I've got over here. So I was just comparing really what I've got from this, because obviously I chopped off the base of the goalpost on both sides and all of the shitty repairs. Well, we don't have any shitty repairs on this. We've got lots of rust. So, like I say, I'm going to chop off across there, and we're going to see really what we've got. If we can straighten these panels out, they'll be good as a reference point. Because obviously I've got the return edges and all sorts of stuff going on here. That bit should go like that. So you've got like a curved down piece, a boxy in piece. Got the corner of the rear floor rubber, so that would have originally gone. Oh dear, imagine, back into the dark again, the goalpost up right there, there's like a corner, that corner piece goes here, like that, off the back of the rear cross member. So it's unusual to see one that really hasn't been completely and utterly fucked around with. Now this thing, it's not a complete loss, as I say. A lot of the uprights on both sides, although it's green and skanky, it's been sitting in the field for far too long. I just said fart, didn't I? I think there's enough on here that I can do something with it. Anyway, that's that. I'm going to crack on with it because the weather is borderline inclement today. The temperature has risen to the heady heights of 11 degrees. This weekend we're promised 18. St. Greta and the Wokarati will be screeching about me destroying the planet. For fuck's sake. Anyway, that'll probably get edited out. Well, the amusement is never ending here, I can tell you. So I've taken this panel off, and you can see, well, saved it. Might even be able to get templates made out of that, which is quite useful, isn't it? But underneath, we're less pretty. Pretty much the entire length under here is just going to go like this. So the panel is nowhere near as nice as I thought it was. Not that I thought it was particularly nice. I think my next plan for this really is going to be to separate the top section separate the top section away from the upright. So start with these on the back here, and then let me just tip him over. And there's 5 here, couple on the end here, couple on the top here, 5 there, a bead of weld in there, which I basically just need to cut through. And I think doing that on both sides, I should be able to separate this top rail away. Then, what do I do with the top rail? Well, that might be the $64 million question. But at the moment, getting these side pieces off, because they're better than those side pieces, is what I'm kind of working towards. Am I wasting my time? Am I pissing into the wind off a cliff? Oh, God help us. Who can tell? Who can tell? Oh, Drilly McDrill place. Oh, it's off. So as I suggested, 5 spot welds there, 2 spot welds on the top, a world of spot welds around this thing. 1 I missed, which is there. It's got like this return edge that goes in underneath. The weld that ran along that bead remained up here, so I'm going to need to probably just cut here, extend it up. But I think, yeah, problem is now, which is better. I've done all that shit. But the key reason for doing this was to see if I could actually salvage this top section or not. And I think I probably can. It's going to be a lot of spot welds though to drill out, because what I really want to do is separate the box section from the front from the flat panel on the back. Flat panel you can get new from Machine. And it might just work. Yes, I don't know. Like I say, am I pissing into the wind? Probably. But I thought I'd get this one apart first and foremost, and then we're going to get that one apart, and we're going to work on... Oh, one thing I wanted to check was whether I had another goalpost in the container of containers, because I thought I did have another goalpost top. Windscreen tops, a pillar, windscreen top. Fuck my boots. Fuck my boots. I'll tell you what, between these 3 sections, now that's a genuine surprise. This came off one of the cars that I scrapped. Oh, hello, Mr. Gravity. That doesn't look half bad actually. Much later car, because it's got the much later car kind of whatever it is, the strut mounts for the top tailgate. What's the all-important reverse side like here? Yeah, it's a much later one because it's got the bigger recess for holding the headlining up. Well, that's got to be worth a go, hasn't it, really? Right, now I'm feeling a bit more hopeful about this now. So, I think what I'll do is I'll continue to take the other upright off there, and then I'm going to split this, take the stubs of the uprights off this one. I can be a bit more brutal because when you're doing these jobs, work out which bit's sacrificial and which bit isn't. In this case, the back panel here is sacrificial. The front panel I kind of want to retain, but now I've seen all that damage down there, I kind of don't want to retain. So it could end up being just that I take that upright off and then this ends up back in the scrap pile. Not necessarily the scrap pile, but the do something with it later pile. With that, I kind of don't need to touch this one at all, do I? No, Richard, no you don't. So what I then do is I stitch that top onto these uprights once I've made these uprights good. And I end up with Franken goalpost. Franken goalpost. You know this shit's out loud, don't you, Richard? You really do. Oh, fuck's sake. And there she blows. Yeah. So the more I kind of like attack this thing, the worse it actually got. And this is, believe it or not, still the better of the two. So at the moment, no time is wasted on this really, because of this saviour over here. Now, interestingly, even the bloody wiper spindle turns on this. It doesn't get better, does it? I'll undo the pinch bolts there, and then I'm going to start really just cleaning this up and getting ready to cut the spot welds off. But I've got much more hope in this one being in far, far, far better shape. For a start off, it doesn't look rusty on the inside, which is not something that we said for these. Both of these have got immense amounts of rust on the inside of the top rail, probably because they've been standing for an awfully long time, whereas this one probably failed an MOT and then was broken up for parts. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. And it is what it is. So not that late though, because it's still not got the... Tim will be able to date this. Tim Hammond, my parts man. The reason being, I think this came from the Netherlands. I think because it's a welded shell, you see, it's not been... someone's actually cut the roof rail here and cut the goalpost there in order to send this to me. So I think this came from the Range Rover barn in the Netherlands. The good news is I've managed to salvage one of these, which is what I'm going to send off to Stuart at Machine Hall, because I think that is going to be quite a useful part to replicate. And the fact it's come off intact is even better. Right, I've almost had enough. I'm going to go and sit down for a minute because my back's killing me. I'm going to start working on that one. But now these are apart, I can make localised repairs, straighten these out, clean them all back, get them primed, treat the rust, etc, etc, etc. On the whole, I think that they are a world better than most that I've seen. They've even got all of the channel. All of it. So that's a result. Oh, here we are on a magnificent springtime bank holiday, Monday, May the 1st today. For the first time in, well, this year probably, the temperature's gone above 10 degrees. Global warming, scream the flat earthers. Might have to edit that out. Anyway, so I've got all of the component parts now separated. So what I'm planning on doing next, I think, is just to tidy up all of the little areas on each of these parts and then weld them back together again. Now, as far as alignment is concerned, well, of course, I've got another goalpost over here, haven't I? So the idea would be to kind of strap the two uprights level with these so they're exactly the same position, put the cross beam in, and then this bit, this little triangular piece here, triangular, whatever shape that looks triangular to me, ish. Then that can be welded back in over the top. And as you can see, because I've taken two goalposts apart, I've got a number of these now. The later panels here from the welded body shell are actually in better shape, aren't they? Well, ish. Now you will notice that the ghost train, I've turned it into a working platform. I've taken all of the crap off the back. Now, it did get me thinking actually, with the overall length of this, and it's a Land Rover and it's 200 TDI. Do I just get this? Are we back to plan one again? Oh, God help us, Richard. Waste your fucking time on this stuff. Should we get that one done first? Let's get that one done first. Right, okay, so zip wheel on this. Protection. Zip wheel on this. I need to get these out as well. These loosened. To get all the clips out of here so they don't go flying across the car park. Few little localised areas of repair that need to take place. in bits like that, but nowhere near the amount of repair work that was needed on the other one. And then I could tidy up the edges, align everything, extend the steel where I need to, because you can see there was the spot weld there that I missed. Tidy up the edges to make sure it's all just going to butt together, and then I can weld the new top piece back into the restored upright sections. And you can see on the inside here I have been over these holes here, by the way. They were for a third-party pump and a bracket for the rear wash wipe. I'm not quite sure why it was on the back panel, because I think this car was mid-70s, which I thought by that point they had the twin pump up the front, but I could be completely wrong on that. And as you can see here, where I've taken that panel off, there's rust behind it. So just clean all this lot up, treat the rust, put it back together again. It should be good for another 45 years then. And then when it comes to the bottom for now, I shall cut off this inner section here up to the point where it's not rusty. So if I was to take it straight across there, drill the spot welds, take this whole inner piece off, and then when this goes back onto the car, put a new piece of steel up, butt weld it along there, okay, and then weld it onto the lower cross member. And that should then, when the box section's on the outside of it, and I have got the remnants of the box sections I pulled off. One was in far better shape than the other. That was the one that was in better shape, because it's actually, you can see how the thing originally fitted together. Okay, it's mangled and it's dented, but you can see how it originally fitted together. And that would have gone onto that one. There we are, like that. See? So I can straighten that and replicate that. It's quite a useful piece of steel, that. Yes, so I think today really it's going to be some local. In fact, if by the end of today I can get this crossbeam, the top crossbeam, put back into position again, I think I'll be winning. More likely though is I'm going to be doing tidying up and fabricating and getting things ready so it can be welded together. There you go. Franken goalpost is on its way. Now I could have just bolted this one back on again, but it needed a bit more filler and papier-mâché. Right. Been over it with Mr. Zippy. Eyeglasses, ear protection, gloves. Yeah, even I have to do that, folks. They're very noisy. Right, okay, so we've exposed an area of rot here. But other than that, it's largely screw holes, fixing holes. We're not too bad, actually. Most of the surface rust just came off. And that piece there, I'll just cut a section out, weld that in. Oh, and one hole there. As you see, I've taken the bottom edge off. The inside here, I'm just going to have to treat with a rust protection and then do something with it. There you go. And, oh yes, the other thing, getting these off. This is the top tailgate pin, and these fixings, they are always, without fail, seized. So what I tend to do is drill right the way through the middle of the bolts, the fixing, so drill straight down through it, 4mm, then 4.5mm, and then 5mm, and generally, if you've got it absolutely spot on, the thread will come whizzing out on the inside like it did here. I did cut the axis hole because I was trying to see if I could get them undone with the impact wrench, first of all. Yeah, not a chance. I think that, I'm going to fix that up this afternoon, so I'm going to go and zip the other one back, clean the welds back, straighten things out a little bit, get that one cleaned back, because this pretty much, this looks more or less exactly the same as that one did. And we can see that the surface corrosion on here really isn't anywhere near as bad as it might appear. Lots of corrosion taking place underneath the paint here, which again kind of leads me to think that perhaps these things had an element of rust on them before they even had the paint put on. But a lot of this stuff here I can deal with this. I'll just put a rust converter over the top of it and then etch prime top coat. Whether I go top coat on green or black, I'll have to talk to the customer about, find out what his preference is. I know he's kind of He's after a bit of patina and a bit of history going into the car, but quite whether he wants me to repaint these red, I couldn't honestly answer. My suggestion would be go satin black on them. So when you open the tailgate, the inner edges look satin black, yeah, like they will do on the inner wings and so forth. But yeah, we're a way off that phase at the moment. Oh, the only other area that had rotted here was just this tiny piece of channel here. I'm actually inclined just to leave that alone, leave it as it is. And I'm not going through this channel with the zip wheel because it is far too delicate. So I'll go in there with a scraper just to scrape any loose rust out before I treat the rust. And then, yeah, this thing can start to go closer together.